Okay, let's go through this one last time. My name is Nick. I was bitten by a radioactive Brendan, and I was forced to host this online series. I thought I was the only podcast host for over 3 years until I discovered that there were other podcasts in the universe, and now I have to figure out my place among them.
I thought he was a breadstick.
I'll get you all the breadsticks you want.
Yes!
Today we are talking about Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse. Directed by Bob Persichetti, Peter Ramsey, and Rodney Rothman, based on a story by Phil Lord, and written by Phil Lord and Rodney Rothman, this is a Marvel production called Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse. It's the story of Teen Miles Morales becoming Spider-Man for his reality, crossing his path with 5 counterparts from other dimensions to stop a threat for all realities. So, Into the Spiderverse.
Yeah.
What did you think of this movie? First impressions, no spoilers, yada yada.
Fan-fucking-tastic, actually.
Don't swear this is a Christian stream.
Wait, Christian? Wait, I'm Catholic. I'm not a Christian.
I'm not Christian either. What's the point? I actually do agree, though. I think that this is a very solid movie. It has a fantastic artistic style direction. It has good voice acting. It has a serviceable story.
Yeah.
I think it hits all the points that you should expect from a superhero movie.
Right. The motivation for me to see this movie was, of course, the animation and awesome art style.
The art direction, absolutely. I totally agree.
That's like a good 60% of my motivation there. 30% was... so I'm a huge fan of multiverse stuff. I'm kind of that fan of... I'm a fan of that sci-fi stuff right there. And the remaining 10% is, well, Spider-Man.
All right. I would agree. I think that, in general, the motivation to see this movie, period, is the art direction. It's highly stylistic. You can see this in every clip you see online. You can see this in every promotional material. It's blatantly a very unique artistic direction, and the movie really works with it.
It's really mesmerizing. My only problem with... I don't want to say let's say animation. So, the movie, you could coast a good, say 30 miles per hour, a good, very steady pace. But all of a sudden, this animation can speed up to a good solid 120 miles. So much is happening.
I think it's a stylistic choice. Honestly, I'm all for the ways that the animation kind of have real bursts of creativity and really capture the momentum of any given scene.
It's definitely a burst. It's just... I don't know. I find it a little disorienting, if not a little nauseating. I don't know. Some people just can't handle that much happening in one...
I think it's intentional that you're supposed to feel that way, because I think that the moments where it gets really jarring for it are scenes where it's supposed to be jarring for the characters and for you as well. I'd say if there was a point of attack on this movie, which I don't think there's many, given that it's just kind of a superhero movie, but I'd say it's the plot. The plot is very boilerplate safe.
It's typical.
It's such a safe plot line.
It is.
There's not much going on with it. It's your typical action movie plot line.
Yeah, bad guy has doomsday device, hero swoops in, saves day, the end, and, there's hero development here as well.
There's nothing wrong with a well-defined threat and a basic hero's journey type thing, but I think that with a movie that's this highly stylized and really prides itself on following a unique path for itself and its protagonist, I think that how generic this plotline is works against it, especially with fridge logic, where you just have to think back to it.
So, going back to the plot, again, so 40% of the reason why I saw this movie was for the multiverse characters, which I'm not a Marvel fan. I'm a casual Marvel fan. I had no idea some of these characters existed.
Yeah, and this movie does feature, as you've no doubt seen in trailers, it features characters like an alternate universe Peter Parker. It has Gwen, Spider-Gwen. It has Peter Porker, which is kind of a very cartoonish pig version of him.
It's no longer a Simpsons gag.
It has Spider-Man, anime Spider-Man. It has noir Spider-Man, voiced by Nicolas Cage. Wonderful.
That surprised me.
But, yeah, I'd say let's go ahead and start getting into spoilers for the movie as well, just so we can talk about some plot elements here and there and things that we liked. I think that Peter B. Parker, the alternate universe Peter Parker, is one of my absolute favorite characters in the movie.
And so he's the one that...
he's the slubby one.
Yeah, the wash up. Yeah. I liked him as well. He was very down to earth. He was...
He's kind of this very genre-savvy character where he knows the right thing to do, doesn't always want to do it, but he knows what's kind of the right thing to do in general. And he's kind of much more sleight of hand, kind of street magician style Spider-Man than regular Peter Parker, the good boy, is.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite scenes is also when they're going out back to Aunt May's shed, and you have Peter saying, "Oh yeah, I've got a shed where I keep my stuff too." And then it turns out it's like a whole bat cave. It's like, okay, it's a little pretentious. I'm not crazy about it.
That was funny.
In general, his character really spoke to me on a depressing, deep level.
He was, yeah, like I said, really down to earth. He was that seasoned, seen it all kind of hero. Like, all right, I've been down this road before. Let's just.
Give me the goober.
Yeah.
But I think one problem with Peter B. Parker and how prevalent he is in this movie as well, because he takes up a lot of the screen time, especially in the first, I want to say, 45 minutes, half hour. It's a lot of just him and Miles hanging out together, teaching him the ropes.
I never thought of it before, but you're right. The protagonist is supposed to be Miles, but...
Well, I think Miles works well as a protagonist. He's a good protagonist choice. He's safe, I guess.
He really is.
But I would say that Peter takes up a lot of the spotlight. Understandably, he is Peter Parker, and the only Peter Parker that shows up in this one as well.
And he is supposed to be a mentor and all, but you are right.
I think part of the problem with the focus on Peter B. Parker is that it takes a lot of the focus away from every other Spider-Man version. They feel like they're just tacked on.
Right. Well, God. And they really are, because, what...
In particular, anime Spider-Man is pretty tacked on. She has no development.
No. Well, then, how could you further develop Peter Porker?
He actually gets more development than anime Spider-Man, Spider-Girl.
Right. Really?
He at least gets some stuff fleshed out through his combat scenes. We understand how he interacts, how he's supposed to exist. He's basically the cartoon version of Spider-Man, like even more cartoon, like Western cartoon style.
That's fair. No, I suppose compared to, Penny Parker, that's it. Penny Parker and Noir Spider-Man, I liked your description of them. They really are just there for the ride.
I know why they're there. They're there to show us the potential alternate universes, the fun ones,
Right. And they exist. There is actually a comic book version of these guys somewhere out there.
I would say... speaking of the plot too, I think that part of my problem is that a lot of stuff is very surface level for what you see. Like a lot of stuff has to be understood through implication. Like you really don't see much of Gwen and Miles' relationship and them bonding. You have to assume there's stuff in between the cracks that you didn't see. You have to assume that there's a lot of stuff under the surface that you didn't see between Miles and his uncle, or between Miles and his father. A lot of stuff is kind of implied to be there, but not really shown in the movie, because it moves at such a breakneck pace.
I don't mind the implied stuff at all, really, because, I don't know, I was really hoping for there not to be a relationship between Spider-Gwen and Miles. Just a friendship, just purely platonic, because she's from another universe, he's from another universe, it just wouldn't work.
Think of the kids.
Right?
But yeah, there's that. But I think that there's kind of this implication with the spider that bites Miles being this kind of like glitchy spider that's made from the dimension machine. That with Miles, he has much more dimensional powers. Like he's got powers pulled from a couple of Spider-Men mixed into him, which is the lightning and the invisibility, which again doesn't really get fleshed out or have any meaningful significance to him.
Wait, so I'm sorry. You say that Miles accumulated powers from other Spider-Men. So which one possessed the
I don't know. I'm not a spider freak. But all I know is that the spider that bites him has the kind of glitchy effects, so you assume that it has to come from the multiple dimension machine for the radiation. And the movie ends on him like having the fever dream thing where like he's talking to some other Spider Woman, maybe Gwen.
Oh, okay. I completely forgot about that. I forgot that fever dream. That was more. Was that toward the end of the movie?
That was the very last scene.
Okay.
I'd say that this movie has a lot of interesting ideas, but doesn't really dive into them the way I kind of hoped it would.
No, well, I mean, I think there's only so much you could do in a 90-minute movie.
Well, like with the change-up of his Uncle Ben's story could have been really interesting because his Uncle Ben is a villain. He has to cope with that and understand that runs in his family to some degree.
That is an interesting twist, yeah.
He's also the second Spider-Man and had to watch his own inaction kill the first Spider-Man. That's really interesting for a backstory as well.
That is.
I think part of it is that because the gimmick of the multiple timelines was introduced so early to put the spotlight back on Peter B. Parker, I think that kind of really hurt Miles' story as a whole. And I kind of do wish it was slowed down a little bit or given more time to breathe.
I disagree, because, I mean, if you're going to talk multiverse, you do kind of have to give, I don't know, some context as to what happened to this world's Peter Parker.
Well, yes, you have to have that context, but you don't need to rush into the timeline story. You can give us a little bit of breathing room. Give us an extra 15, 20 minutes to really establish some things. Like, I don't want just one meeting with Uncle Ben and then kill him off immediately. I want to have a few meetings, get to know him as a person, what kind of other advice he gives aside from the shoulder touch.
I could see that, but again, that goes back to what I was saying about constraints. You know, I mean, there's only really so much you could do.
You can always lengthen the movie a little bit.
A little bit, but...
But that goes back to what I was talking about with this being a safe movie. This movie played it so safe as far as the plot line. And I think that's partly because it is a Marvel Disney movie, and they know safe plots. That's what they know.
That's definitely Disney's niche right there.
And I would say, too, I think we have to have this conversation because this movie doesn't have much else to knock on it because, you know, it's competently written, it's got competent voice acting, it's got brilliant art direction. I think we have to go and treat this like a big boy movie and ask what the deeper themes of the movie are, what kinds of deeper messages it's trying to tackle, what it wants you to walk away with. And I don't think it had anything.
No, not really. Like you said, it's a pretty cut and dry comic book movie with a feasible plot, but
Now, my question then is it okay for it to do that, or should we hold it to a higher standard because of how competent it is in every other field?
When I went in to go see this, I didn't really have that many expectations. Like I said, the main driver to go see this movie is the mesmerizing art style and animation of this film.
Sure, but I think that when you have a highly unique style like that, you do need to have a message in mind. This one has kind of a very generic message of believe in yourself.
Right.
You can do it. It's going to be okay.
That go-getter attitude that's
I don't think it's even a go-getter attitude. I think it's a very safe, platonic message.
Yeah. So what standard would you hold?
I mean, I feel like this is kind of rude to it, but this is the closest movie I can think of where everything was done competently enough that that would hold itself to a higher standard and hit it. I want to say Dark Knight.
Ooh, now, yeah, that's...
Because that's a movie where it did delve into a lot of interesting questions, like the nature of politics, the nature of the Patriot Act, and observation of civilians through phones, the nature of good and evil in people, whether or not good people will act, or whether or not they'll choose not to act for the greater good.
Right, and how really fragile society itself is.
Right, these are all questions that were asked by another film that did everything very well, very competently.
Right.
And I think Spider-Verse and Disney as a whole really tend to shy away from those kinds of messages.
They really do.
They'll imply things at best, but that's the most we're ever going to get.
But that's just apples and oranges, you know. I mean, it's like you said.
I don't think it's apples and oranges. I think that's the closest thing we have to apples and apples. Like, I could be really mean in comparison to things like Citizen Kane or something like Memento, say, where we do ask really deep questions and interesting ideas. Like, you know, the big boy movies. But I think this one doesn't want to be considered that good.
Right. Well, so let's compare Dark Knight to maybe another Spider-Man movie. The earlier ones when they were owned
The
by
Raimi
Fox.
movies?
Yeah.
No.
All right.
They're silly fun, but that's about it.
Yeah. This movie was silly fun too, because it had dialogue, the dialogue, and
it did have some
gimmicks.
It did have some nice homages to the Raimi Spiderverse as well, especially with the very opening Peter Parker stuff, where he talks about we also had a section where I danced in the streets, but we don't talk about that. So it was very clearly homages to the Raimi Spider-Man.
Yeah,
and I think the implication was that this is supposed to be kind of the Raimi universe that it takes place in. Sort of. It's a little confusing whether or not it does.
Are you saying they axed Tobey Maguire in this movie?
I think they killed off Tobey Maguire and replaced it with Miles.
Huh. Step up, I think. I mean, depends on how you look at it.
But, yeah, I think overall I would say this, if we want to go ahead and start wrapping it up too, because actually, before we do, let's take a brief glimpse at the other Spider characters, see if we like them or not. So, Gwen, did you like her?
I do. She's a staple comic book character, and she was a very strong driving force for the protagonist. So I thought her character was solid.
I wasn't crazy about her because, despite being played up as a very strong, independent character who really went through hardships of her own to come to this, she kind of comes across as very demure and kind of just goes with what the rest of them think. Like she seems almost afraid to stand up to the other spider people in the room at times. I didn't like the way she was characterized. I liked her well enough as a character, but they played it safe with her.
They did. No, they just stuck her as a supporting side character, which ultimately she was. But I see what you mean. They could have done more, but
Peter Parker B, the schlubby Spider-Man.
Go on. What are your thoughts on him?
I really liked him. I love the idea of the superhero who's been a hero long enough to have to grow up. Iron Man is one of my favorite superheroes for that reason, because he has to deal with things like paying taxes, running a business, getting married, having kids. He has to deal with all of that as a superhero. He's one of the very few that does. And this is a Peter Parker who's heading down that same road, but he's running into the problems of reality, because this is a Peter Parker who suffers a major back injury and kind of gets taken out of commission for a long time. He has fights with his wife. He's scared of having kids, and he's kind of fallen into despondency and never really applied himself the way that the really fancy Peter Parker from Universe Prime, whatever you want to call it.
Let's call it Prime. Why not?
Yeah, but he's kind of the everyday man version of Spider-Man, and I appreciate that character exists, and the fact that he's still considered a competent, well-rounded Spider-Man.
Right. No, he is that down-to-earth, seasoned guy. I like his character too, and he does do a good job of playing the reluctant mentor to Miles.
Yeah, the reluctant mentor who comes to discover that he has it in himself to be a parent after all. It's a very common arc in middle-aged characters, and I think it works well here.
Right. Goes to show that we never stop growing up, huh?
All right, Peter Porker.
He was a thing. I thought he was just a Simpsons gag, but turns out he is a comic book character in the Marvel Universe.
I think that the way they use him in this movie doesn't quite work. I like the concept of it, because I love the idea of like these cartoon physics and all this stuff being transported over to other dimensions where they don't have that, and it's unexpected. I like the idea of that, but the way he's used is kind of as like a
comic relief,
the butt of the joke, and it never really lands with him.
Yeah.
Penny Parker.
Just the token anime character, really.
She's anime.
Yeah, what else is there to say, really?
I was looking for some cool mech stuff, but it never really happened. She just kind of sucks at being Spider-Man. Honestly, she's worse than Miles.
I agree, and I'm kind of confused. So she has a telepathic link with the still living spider?
But basically, she found the spider, instead of being bitten by it, she made a mech around it because it was a hyper-intelligent spider or something.
Okay. But she has no powers herself, so
she's just a very good engineer, a smart person like Peter is.
All right, Big Hero 6 take on Spider-Man, apparently, huh?
Yeah, that's really all I can say. She didn't really have much of a character. She didn't really do much interesting fighting. She just didn't get to shine in this in general.
Right.
Noir Spider-Man.
Also comic relief, because he's literally two colors. I can only see in two colors. I wish they kind of expanded more on these other Spider characters, particularly on the Noir one, because I feel like he would have more deep and meaning dialogue.
I feel like with Noir Spider-Man, he's one of the three characters, the comic relief Spider-Man, that actually works here.
Right.
I think he really works, because his gimmick is funny. He's given the extra gimmick of only seeing in black and white, which I like.
Right.
He has the Rubik's Cube thing. And then he also has some cool stuff during the fight with Two Guns guy, whatever his name is. Tombstone, thank you. Yeah, he has some cool moments during that. Like, he uses his head as a weapon. He shows that he's confident around guns. I think that he's one of the characters where I left really wondering about his story, which I think this movie wants, ultimately, is for it to stick with you for the deeper thought about, well, what's this Spider-Man do? How does this Spider-Man work? And I think that Noir Spider-Man really works for that.
Right. And in some ways, it is a shame. Like you said, Disney played it safe, but they really, in turn, kind of squandered these characters in doing so.
That's always the downside of playing it safe, is that you squander any potential you had.
And that's a shame. I mean, I would like to know more about these characters, particularly about Noir Spider-Man.
I think ultimately that's what they want you to leave with, is wondering about these characters and thinking, maybe I should buy the comics.
Merchandising.
Merchandise. Spider-Man the flamethrower. This parallel universe is a hit with the kids. All right, well, I think we're running out of things to talk about as far as this goes. Do you have anything else before we get into our final judgment?
No, I think we've said what pretty much needed to be said. It is a pretty cut and dry hero movie with tremendous art and animation, but, there's always room for improvement, and Disney was just shying away from it, which is a shame.
All right, in that case then, would you recommend seeing Into the Spider-Verse?
I would, because, especially in theaters even, because what better way to experience this animation but with a big screen?
Yeah, I agree. It has spectacular animation. The art direction alone is worth paying the money for the ticket and supporting the movie. I think that it's a little bit safe as far as story goes, and it's safe as far as characters go. It's safe. So if you're going into this expecting like a life-changing kind of almost Dark Knight-esque movie, you're not going to find it.
No.
What we are going to find is very interesting, very cool animation techniques and styles.
Yep, just pretty much just a fun movie for the kids and
adults too, honestly.
Adults too.
It's fantastic animation on display.
Anyone who's really just a Spider-Man fan, casual or otherwise.
All right, well, this has been Nick Parker.
And Brendan Parker. No relation.
Signing off from the Spiderverse.